You become what you believe, no exceptions. There is a moment, just one moment, that decides everything. Not the day you were born, not the money in your pocket, not the people around you. It's the moment you decide what you believe about yourself. That moment, invisible to the world, is the birthplace of every empire, every revolution, every life that changed the course of history. And it starts with belief. Belief is not wishful thinking. It is not chanting affirmations into a mirror while waiting for the universe to hand you success. That's fantasy. Real belief? It is conviction carved into the bones. It is the fire that burns through doubt when the world tells you no. It is the unshakable knowing that you are capable even when you don't feel like it. This is the law that shaped Napoleon Hill's greatest discovery. Whenever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But here's the raw truth. Most people do not believe. They hope. They pray. They wish. They envy. They talk. But they do not believe, not deeply, not fiercely, not relentlessly. And so they remain exactly where they are. Because belief is the engine of reality. Every skyscraper once stood as a thought in someone's mind. Every war won was first won in the will of a leader who refused to surrender. Every fortune ever made began as an idea whispered in solitude. Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't wake up one morning and invent the light bulb. He believed he could find a way to bring light to darkness, and he did it after 1,000 failures. He didn't see failure. He saw 1,000 ways that didn't work. That's belief. Or look at Walt Disney, rejected over 300 times before anyone would fund his dream. Called unimaginative by an editor early in his career. Yet he built a kingdom out of imagination because he believed in something more than what others could see. And then there's Abraham Lincoln. Born in poverty, lived in a log cabin, failed in business, suffered personal loss, was defeated in campaign after campaign. Yet he believed in something greater than circumstance. And he rose not because he was lucky, but because he refused to let failure define him. Because he understood the most powerful force on earth, the human mind, when it believes. Now ask yourself this: what do you truly believe about yourself? Do you believe you're meant for more than survival? Do you believe you have within you the power to shape your destiny? Or do you secretly fear that you're just not enough? Because if you believe you're not enough, you won't act like enough. If you believe you're not worthy, you won't pursue what the greats chase. If you believe you'll fail, you'll make sure to prove yourself right. Belief is not just a thought. It is the command center of your entire being. It shapes your choices. It drives your actions. It colors your perception of the world. So if you want to change your life, you must first change what you believe. And if you want to become what you've never been, you must start believing what you've never dared to believe. Because here's the truth: you become what you believe, no exceptions. Not sometimes, not if you get lucky. Always. Every single time. From the man who builds an empire from nothing to the woman who stays stuck in a dead-end job for decades. One believed she could. The other believed she couldn't. And both were right. So now the question is, which one are you becoming? Are you building belief or feeding doubt? Are you feeding greatness or settling for comfort? Because belief alone isn't enough. It must be clear. Clarity is the sharpened edge of belief. Without clarity, belief is scattered. It becomes noise. It becomes confusion. It becomes dreams lost in distraction. Clarity is knowing exactly what you want. Not vaguely. Not someday. Not maybe. now, right now, with such precision that it feels like a second heartbeat. Like Henry Ford, who knew exactly what he wanted: a car for the masses. Not just any car, a reliable, affordable vehicle that would change the world. He had clarity. And with that clarity came action, relentless, focused, unyielding. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't wait for motivation. He acted, because clarity demands action. Purpose demands movement. Vision demands execution. And belief demands proof, because belief without action is delusion, and vision without discipline is illusion. Discipline is the bridge between what you imagine and what you create. It is the daily choice to show up even when you don't feel like it. It is the refusal to quit even when the road gets dark. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It protects your future self from the laziness of your present. It guards your potential from the distractions of the moment. Discipline is what separates the ones who talk about greatness from the ones who live it. Look at Andrew Carnegie. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't born powerful. He was born poor. Immigrated to America. Started working at age 13. But he had discipline. He read constantly. He studied success. He learned from those who had come before him. And he built the largest steel empire in the world not because he was lucky, but because he disciplined his mind, his habits, and his focus. Discipline is the silent architect of all achievement. And if you want to rise, you must master it. Because discipline is not a feeling. It is a decision. Every morning, you choose. Will I follow my dream or give in to my fatigue? Will I move toward my purpose or retreat into comfort? Will I build belief or feed doubt? Discipline is the answer. And discipline leads to action. Action is the language of belief. No matter how strong your vision, no matter how deep your belief, if you do not act, nothing changes. Action is the only thing that turns thoughts into results. It is the final step in the formula. Belief plus clarity plus discipline equals action. And action, consistent, deliberate, unstoppable action creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence strengthens belief. And the cycle begins again, stronger, faster, deeper. This is how empires are built. This is how legends are made. But action without direction is wasted energy, which is why purpose is everything. You must know why you are doing what you are doing. Not just what you want, but why you want it. Because purpose fuels perseverance. It gives meaning to pain. It gives strength to struggle. It gives reason to rise again after falling. When you know your purpose, you stop asking, "Why am I doing this?" Instead, you ask, "How can I do this better?" And that shift in mindset changes everything. Because purpose is not found, it is forged. It is discovered in the fire of adversity, in the silence of reflection. In the moments when everything seems lost and still, you keep going. Your purpose is not some mystical calling whispered from the stars. It is the sum of your values, your experiences, your deepest desires. It is what makes you willing to suffer for something greater than yourself. And when you align your life with that purpose, everything changes. Because now, every action has meaning. Every sacrifice has value. Every setback is a lesson. And every win, no matter how small, brings you closer to fulfillment. So ask yourself, is your life aligned with your purpose? Or are you chasing things that don't matter? Are you giving your energy to goals that don't reflect who you really are? Because if you're not living on purpose, you're wasting your power. And power is too precious to waste. Power lies in your ability to create change, to shape your environment, to influence your own destiny. And that power begins with belief. But belief must be rooted in truth. Truth about who you are. Truth about what you want. Truth about the cost of success. Because success is not free. It costs time. It costs effort. It costs comfort. It costs popularity. And for many, it costs peace until they learn to embrace the grind. But those who understand the price pay it willingly because they know what they're buying: freedom, legacy, greatness, a life lived fully, a life that matters. And so the question remains, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to believe, to clarify, to discipline, to act, to persist, to evolve? Because this is not just a speech. This is a call to rise, a call to awaken, a call to become. Because belief is not passive, it is active, it is aggressive, it is relentless. And if you dare to believe, truly believe, you will become. You become what you believe, no exceptions. So what do you believe? Reward potential. It rewards action. It rewards persistence. It rewards belief that is backed by unrelenting effort. And it punishes hesitation, because hesitation is the language of doubt. Doubt is the enemy of progress. It whispers in your ear when you're alone at night. It shows up as fear disguised as logic. It wears the mask of caution, but it's really just cowardice. And if you listen to it long enough, it becomes your identity. You stop being someone who could have done something. You become someone who never did. That is not fate. That is choice. Because belief demands confrontation. Confrontation with fear, with comfort, with complacency, with every excuse that tries to keep you small. Every time you choose to move forward in the face of uncertainty, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Every time you act, despite the noise in your mind, you build a new version of who you are. A stronger one, a bolder one. One who does not wait for permission to rise. Because greatness doesn't ask for permission. Greatness takes what it wants. And it starts with belief. But belief must be trained. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with use. Like fire, it spreads when fed. And like steel, it must be forged under pressure. So how do you train belief? By feeding it proof. Proof that you can do hard things. Proof that you can show up even when no one is watching. Proof that you can push past limits that once seemed impossible. Each time you do this, each time you defy your own expectations, you expand the boundaries of what you believe is possible. And that expansion changes everything. Because belief is not static. It either grows or it shrinks. There is no middle ground. If you don't feed it, doubt will. If you don't challenge it, fear will take over. If you don't act on it, it fades into nothing. This is why discipline is so essential. Discipline is the training ground for belief. It's where belief goes to be tested, where it learns to survive in the real world. Without discipline, belief is fragile. It shatters at the first sign of resistance. But with discipline, belief becomes armor. It becomes unstoppable. It becomes your identity. And that identity shapes your destiny. Because the person you are today is the result of the beliefs you held yesterday. And the person you will become tomorrow is being shaped by the beliefs you hold now. So ask yourself, are you building the version of yourself you want to become? Or are you reinforcing the version you're trying to leave behind? Because belief is cumulative. Every thought you think adds to the total. Every decision you make reinforces a direction. You are either moving toward greatness or drifting away from it. There is no standing still, only motion in one direction or the other, which means you must be deliberate about what you allow into your mind, deliberate about the people you surround yourself with, deliberate about the goals you pursue and the habits you build. Because belief is contagious. It spreads through environment, through conversation, through action. And if you immerse yourself in the presence of those who believe, you begin to believe too. That's why mentors matter, why role models shape destinies, why reading the right books, listening to the right voices, watching the right content matters more than you realize. Because belief thrives in fertile soil. And if you plant it in the right place, it grows wild and unstoppable. But if you plant it in doubt, distraction, and negativity, it withers before it ever has a chance to bloom. So protect your mind. Guard your thoughts. Surround yourself with those who believe. Because belief is not just an idea. It is a force, a current that pulls you toward what you focus on. If you focus on failure, you'll find it. If you focus on lack, you'll feel it. If you focus on fear, you'll live it. But if you focus on possibility, on vision, on purpose, then you open the door to transformation. Because belief follows attention. What you give energy to expands. What you ignore dies. So feed belief. Starve doubt. Let your mind become a fortress impenetrable to weakness, immune to fear, resistant to failure. Because the only thing standing between you and your greatest self is the belief that you can't. And once you break that barrier, everything changes. Because once you believe deeply, fully, without reservation, you start seeing opportunities others miss. You begin attracting people who help you rise. You discover resources you didn't know existed. You unlock strength you didn't know you had. And suddenly, the impossible begins to look possible. Because belief unlocks power. Power that was always within you. Waiting, patient, ready. Just waiting for you to finally say, I believe. I am ready. I will do whatever it takes. And when you say that, not just with your mouth, but with your actions, you cross the threshold. From dreamer to doer. From thinker to builder. From believer to creator. Because belief is not passive. It is not a feeling. It is not a slogan. It is a command, a declaration, a way of life. And once you live by it, there is no turning back. Because belief transforms, not just your thinking, not just your behavior, but your entire reality. You become what you believe, no exceptions. So what do you believe now? There is a force in this world more powerful than money, more powerful than influence, more powerful than luck or circumstance. That force is belief. And it shapes every moment of your life, whether you acknowledge it or not. Because even if you believe you can't, that belief defines your path just as surely as someone who believes they can. Belief is the silent architect behind every decision, every action, every dream pursued or abandoned. It does not ask for permission. It does not wait for motivation. It simply builds brick by brick, thought by thought, the life you are living right now. So let me ask you again, what are you building? Are you constructing a life of purpose and power? Or are you reinforcing the walls of limitation? because you are always building something. The only question is, what? History remembers those who built with conviction. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't hesitate until fear was gone. They acted because they believed. Look at Elon Musk. He didn't wake up one day and build SpaceX overnight. He built it through years of failure, criticism, financial ruin, and relentless belief that space travel could be accessible. People laughed. Investors walked away. Rockets exploded. But he kept going. Because belief doesn't care about noise. It only cares about direction. Now, SpaceX lands rockets like airplanes. Mars is no longer fantasy. It's a goal on a timeline. All because one man refused to let disbelief take root. Or consider J.K. Rowling. A single mother living on welfare, writing in cafes while her baby slept. Rejected by 12 publishers, told her book wouldn't sell. But she believed in the story. Not just the story in the pages, but the story she was writing with her own life. And today, Harry Potter has changed the literary world forever. None of it was easy. None of it was guaranteed. But all of it was possible because she never stopped believing. This is how empires rise. Not through luck, not through privilege, through belief that refuses to quit. Because belief is the first domino in the chain reaction of success. Once it falls, everything else begins to move. Clarity comes next, then discipline, then action, then results. But it all starts with belief. Without it, nothing moves. With it, everything becomes possible. So why do so many people reject belief? Why do they settle for doubt? Because belief requires risk. It asks you to step into the unknown, to trust yourself when no one else does, to stand alone when the world says sit down. Belief demands courage, and courage is rare. Most people confuse comfort for safety. They think staying small keeps them protected. But what they don't realize is this: comfort is the enemy of growth. Safety is the cage of the undisciplined. And fear, real fear, is not of failure. It's of change. Because once you believe, truly believe, you have to start living differently. You have to make hard choices. You have to cut out distractions. You have to say no to things that once held you back. You have to push past limits that used to feel permanent. You have to become someone new, someone stronger, someone bolder, someone who no longer waits but acts. Because belief without action is illusion, and action without vision is wasted energy, which is why clarity must follow belief. Clarity is the lens that turns scattered thoughts into focused power. It takes belief and gives it direction. It transforms dreams into plans, wishes into goals, hopes into strategies. Without clarity, belief wanders. It gets lost in distractions. It loses focus. It chases after shiny objects instead of deep commitments. Clarity cuts through the fog. It forces you to answer the question, exactly what am I trying to create? Not vaguely, not someday, now, today, with precision. Like Steve Jobs, he didn't just want to build a tech company. He wanted to revolutionize the way humans interact with technology. He had clarity. And with that clarity came obsession, perfectionism, an unwillingness to compromise. And the result? Products that changed the world. iPhone, iPad, MacBook, all born from a mind that knew exactly what it wanted. and worked relentlessly to bring it to life. That's the power of clarity. It turns vague desires into unstoppable momentum. So ask yourself, do you know exactly what you want? Can you describe your future self in vivid detail? Can you see where you're going, not just where you've been? Because if you can't, you're still wandering. And wanderers don't leave legacies. Leaders do. Visionaries do. Believers do. So get clear. Define it. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Let it burn in your mind until it fuels your every move. Because clarity is not just knowing what you want. It's knowing why you want it and understanding the cost of achieving it. Because success is not free. It demands everything you've got. Your time, your energy, your focus, your willpower, and sometimes your pride. But if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to sacrifice comfort for greatness, then you are ready. Ready to move forward. Ready to act. Ready to become. Because belief and clarity lead to one place: action. Disciplined, consistent, unrelenting action. Not perfect action. Not easy action. Just action. Every day. Even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because action is proof. Proof that you believe. Proof that you're serious. Proof that you won't quit. And proof is what changes everything. Because belief grows through doing. Clarity sharpens through movement. Purpose reveals itself through effort. So stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop doubting. Start now. Right now. No matter how small. No matter how imperfect. Because the first step is always ugly. The second is better. By the third, you're already moving. And movement creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence strengthens belief. And then you are unstoppable, because you are no longer thinking about being great. You are becoming it, one action at a time. So what will you do? Will you keep dreaming? Or will you finally believe? Because the truth remains, you become what you believe, no exceptions. So choose carefully, because your entire future is being shaped by what you believe today. There is no greater power in the universe than a human mind fully committed. Not money, not status, not luck, but belief. Unshakable, relentless, absolute. Because when you believe, truly believe, you begin to see the world differently. You stop seeing obstacles. You start seeing opportunities. You stop hearing noise. You start hearing truth. You stop waiting for permission. You start taking action. And with that shift, everything changes. Because belief is not passive. It does not sit quietly in the background. It demands movement. It demands courage. It demands sacrifice. And it rewards those who give it all. History is filled with them. People who believed when the world said they couldn't. Who stood firm when others ran. Who built empires from nothing. Who changed the course of time simply because they refused to quit believing. Think of Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years. Yet he never lost belief in justice, never lost belief in freedom, never lost belief in the power of perseverance. And when he walked out of that cell, he didn't just walk into freedom, he walked into destiny. Because belief doesn't die in prison. It grows stronger. It becomes unbreakable. Or look at Oprah Winfrey, born into poverty. abused as a child, told she was too emotional for television, fired from her first job as a news anchor. Yet she believed in something more. She believed in the power of story, in the strength of voice, in the idea that one person could change millions by simply refusing to stay silent. And now, millions have found their own voice because she found hers. That's the ripple effect of belief. One person believes. They act. They rise. They inspire. And suddenly, belief spreads like wildfire. Because belief is contagious. It spreads through example, through courage, through relentless consistency. So what are you spreading? Are you spreading doubt? Fear? Excuses? Or are you spreading belief? Real belief. The kind that refuses to be silenced. The kind that turns dreams into realities. The kind that builds legacies. Because that's what separates the ones who change the world from the ones who simply watch it change. The difference? Belief. But belief alone isn't enough. It must be backed by clarity. Clarity gives belief direction. Without it, belief wanders. It chases after distractions. It loses focus. It burns out before it ever has a chance to build momentum. Clarity cuts through the fog. It forces you to define your vision, to name your purpose, to set your standards, to know exactly what you're building and why. Because without clarity, belief becomes scattered, and scattered belief leads to scattered results. So ask yourself, do you know exactly what you want? Can you describe your future self in vivid detail? Do you know why you want it? And most importantly, are you willing to pay the price to get it? Because success doesn't come cheap. It costs effort. It costs time. It costs comfort. It costs popularity. And sometimes it costs peace until you learn to embrace the grind. But if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to show up even when you don't feel like it, then you are ready. Ready to move forward. Ready to take action. Ready to become. Because belief without action is illusion. And action without discipline is wasted energy. Discipline is the bridge between thought and result. It's what keeps you going when motivation fades. It's what gets you out of bed when you'd rather stay under the covers. It's what keeps you focused when the world tries to distract you. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It protects your future from the laziness of today. It guards your potential from the pull of comfort. Discipline is the daily choice to become more than you were yesterday. And it is the single greatest separator between those who achieve greatness and those who merely dream about it. Because discipline is not easy. It requires sacrifice. It demands consistency. It insists on repetition. But repetition builds mastery. Mastery builds confidence. Confidence strengthens belief. And belief fuels the next level of growth. This is the cycle of transformation. And once you enter it, there is no turning back. Because once you taste progress, you crave more. Once you feel momentum, you refuse to slow down. Once you see results, you start to believe even deeper. And belief? Belief changes everything. So how do you build discipline? By making it non-negotiable. By setting boundaries. By eliminating distractions. By surrounding yourself with people who push you higher. By creating systems that support your goals, not sabotage them. Because discipline is not about willpower. It's about structure. It's about environment. It's about design. Design your life so that success is the path of least resistance. Make it easier to win than to fail. Because discipline is not about forcing yourself to do hard things. It's about making the right things automatic. And when discipline becomes habit, belief becomes identity. And when belief becomes identity, greatness becomes inevitable. Because you are no longer trying to be great. You are becoming it every single day. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I need to become to achieve what I want? Then start acting like that person every day, until it's not an act anymore, until it's who you are. Because belief is not a moment. It is a lifetime commitment, a daily declaration, an unrelenting refusal to settle. And once you make that commitment, nothing can stop you. Because belief is not just a mindset. It is a way of life. And the truth remains, you become what you believe, no exceptions. So what do you believe now?